Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today we are digging into something that is absolutely critical in any organization: how to actually foster creativity.
And a special welcome goes out to everybody in PP 53061, Theory and Management of Public Service Organizations. Think of this as our fun little study group for Chapter 3 of our required text. So grab a coffee and let's jump right in.
All right, here's our game plan. We're going to start with why we should even care about creativity. Then we'll figure out what it actually is. We'll walk through the creative process step by step, look at the things that stop good ideas dead in their tracks, and wrap up with how you can actually build a culture that fuels bright ideas.
First things first, why is creativity so important? I mean, a lot of us think it's something for artists or musicians, right? But believe me, the reality is, it's a cornerstone for success in any field.
You know, I love this quote because it just completely flips our normal way of thinking on its head. We spend so much time and energy trying to avoid chaos and instability at work. But what Margaret Wheatley is saying here is that that's the good stuff. That's the very soil where new ideas begin to grow. It's when things get messy that we're forced to get creative.
And this is not just some philosophical idea. It's backed by data. A while back, IBM did this massive study. They talked to over 1,500 leaders from all over the world and asked them a simple question. What is the single most important quality for a leader to navigate the complexities of the future? Their answer wasn't better planning. It wasn't tighter control. The number one answer was creativity. That's a huge deal.
Okay, so if creativity is that important, we probably need to make sure we're all on the same page about what it even means. So let's get our definitions straight.
Now, this is a super important distinction that people get mixed up all the time. Creativity, that's the spark. It's the moment you come up with a new and useful idea. But an idea by itself doesn't really do anything, does it? That's where innovation comes in. Innovation is taking that cool idea and actually putting it to work. You need both. Creativity is the thought. Innovation is the action.
For the longest time, people kind of thought you were either a creative person or you weren't. You were just born that way. But that whole idea is outdated. We now know that creativity is really a skill and a process. And what's the best thing about skills and processes? They can be learned, they can be practiced, they can be developed. This is fantastic news because it means creativity is available to all of us.
So if it's not just something you're born with, where does it come from? Well, think of it like a three-legged stool. The sweet spot for creativity is where these three things meet. You've got the person, their skills, their motivation. You've got the environment, the culture, the support they get. And you've got the task itself. Is the work actually interesting and challenging? You got to have all three legs for that stool to be stable.
Okay, so let's pull back the curtain a little bit. That aha or eureka moment doesn't just appear out of thin air. It's actually part of a pretty well-understood process.
It generally goes something like this. First is preparation. You just dive deep and learn everything you can. Then comes concentration, where you really focus all your energy on it. Now the third step is the one we always skip, incubation. This is where you step away. You let your subconscious mind take over. Go for a walk, do the dishes, whatever. And that is often when, bam, illumination strikes. That's the aha moment. But you're not done. The last crucial step is verification. You have to actually test the idea to see if it holds water.
Now, if creativity is just a process that anyone can learn, then why aren't our organizations just bursting with amazing new ideas? Well, the sad truth is that most workplaces are basically graveyards for good ideas.
I mean, think about it for a second. Have you ever had a brilliant idea at work, but you just kept your mouth shut? Or maybe you did share it and it was met with total silence. Why does that happen so much?
Well, here are some of the usual suspects. We shoot down ideas before they have a chance to breathe. We get lazy and just go with the first good enough solution. Leadership doesn't have our back. We waste all our energy solving the wrong problem. Or, and this one's a killer, people hoard information and refuse to collaborate. These things are the assassins of innovation.
So, knowing what kills ideas, how do we do the opposite? How do we build an environment where ideas can actually survive and thrive? That brings us to our last section, the practical stuff, the manager's toolkit. When you boil it all down, there are really three big levers you can pull. First, give people challenging work. Work that's interesting enough that they actually want to think about it in the shower. Second, supportive leadership. This means you encourage smart risks, you give helpful feedback, and you don't micromanage. And third, you have to intentionally build a creative climate, a place built on trust where people feel safe to speak up and new ideas are celebrated.
And look, this isn't all just about soft skills and culture. There are concrete tools you can use. This mind map from the U.S. Department of Agriculture is a perfect example. It's just a simple technique to visualize a problem, to see how different ideas connect in new ways. It's proof that creativity can be a very structured, organized activity.
So, as we wrap things up, if you take one thing away from our little study session today, let it be this. Creativity is not magic. It's a process. It's a skill, and it can be managed. So the real question I'll leave you with is this. What are you going to do about it? In your team, or even just for yourself? What's one barrier, one of those idea killers, that you can start removing today? Thanks for joining in.